What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. After Sound here, bringing you Splinterlands content every single day. We also stream right here on this channel every Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday morning, so come by and say hello. Okay, well, there has been a lot of talk about the Soulbound reward cards that are upcoming, but to give a small recap on where things are at, in case you missed the last Town Hall and the one from last week, there were 3 abilities talked about, as well as, and again, this is not confirmed, actually, and none of it is confirmed, but there were 3 abilities that were discussed, which we can jump into in a minute, as well as the idea that the reward cards will be unlockable at a certain point. And that'll probably be for a fee or something. Again, that all hasn't been thought through yet, but the team is very much open to it so that it's not something that stays soulbound forever. But with all of this being said, and everything that we know so far, my theory, prediction, whatever you want to call it, is I believe that these soulbound reward cards are going to be OP. And the truth is, I think they have to be in many, many ways. Now, what's the reason for that? And we'll get into the other stuff in a minute. But the reason is because of the fact that they will no longer have immediate value, meaning that you can just go dump them on the market or sell them or trade them or do whatever you'd like. But if they have value in the game to help you level up your deck, to win more games, to be, like the llamas and Jotins and kitties of the game for whatever generation this is, it's going to be something that is coveted and people will want it and they won't be able to buy it. So when these actually do come out of print, they won't be dumped on the market the way that reward cards traditionally have been. They're going to go for a pretty penny because most people, unless they have multiple, will not want to sell theirs or part with theirs, especially if you can only unlock it if it reaches a certain level or is only maxed out. So, this brings in the potential for botting at higher levels to really start farming those reward cards. But again, I don't think anybody wants to make that kind of commitment until and unless they're sure that, all of these details can be worked out. But going back for a second, so we talked about the fact that they can be unlockable. The 3 abilities that we know so far, and I'm going to try and get this, I don't remember the names exactly, but I think Conscript is the first one, which sounds like it's going to belong to a summoner, in which the ability that summoner has is to play, or the ability to play multiple gladiator cards in a given game when it comes to brawls. When it comes to ranked, you can play a gladiator card even if you do not have, even if it's not like a gladiator rule set or something like that. So it's almost like an ability that unlocks a whole new set of cards to you, which I think gives a lot of value to the gladiator cards as well. Now, this is going to be something, like I said before, I'm excited about it because it's just like every single time you open a chest now, there's going to be value in there. There's going to be, not financial value, but it's going to be value in like the surprise, the roll of the dice of it. And like, ooh, is this the card that I'm looking for? Or, oh man, like if I, let me put it this way. If I opened up a card today and it had a legendary card in there, right? Let's say who's the cheapest? Harklaw, I think, going for like 50 something cents. Yeah, 57 cents. It's like whoop-de-doo, right? I could find, some change in my couch cushions and I could buy Harklaw if I wanted to. But if I got one and nobody else is able to get one and I got it because of the fact that I played the game and I earned whatever, like it holds a lot of more like sentimental game progression value. And so the fact that we are all going to be having that, I think is going to be huge. I'm all over the place, guys. So let's go back to the abilities. Conscript was the first ability. The second ability is weapons training. The weapons training ability means that if a monster does not have any attacks and is sitting adjacent to the monster that has the weapons training ability, it essentially mimics that attack type. So best example is like Bak Jira. So think of like Bak Jira in the front as your tank with someone like Demon Shark behind. And you play like with Possibilist, right? So, Demon Shark is able to play like the reach. So Demon Shark comes in, I think, with like a 3 ability or three attack, right? Melee attack. Well, all of a sudden Bak Jira will be able to have a 3 melee attack as well. So you can see it's going to get interesting, especially frontline or backline. There will be a lot of opportunities to play all different kinds of attacks if it's just going to mimic. So I think It's going to be an interesting ability. I think it's going to be a very powerful one that will change up the meta and shake things up. And then yesterday we got the teaser of the Martyr ability, which is essentially the inverse of Bloodlust. So you will be able to, like if the monster on your team has Martyr as its ability, once it dies or is taken off the board, all other monsters on your team get some kind of enhanced stats. And with Bloodlust, it's usually a +1 across everything. I don't know if it's going to be exactly like that, but it might be a +1 health, might be +1 something. We'll see what the actual details are. But each of these abilities provides something that is extremely powerful. And in my experiences playing with just the Gladiator cards and the Bloodlust ability that is only available to Gladiator cards, with the exception of Jared Scar and Grum, those cards can be super, super OP in many ways, right? So many people opt to use the Gladiator cards whenever they're playing their brawls. So the fact that now you'll be able to use these cards, right, whenever you have them leveled up to whatever, whatever deck that you're trying to get into, or whatever league you're trying to get it to, I think they're going to be utilized all the time. I think they're going to be not just meta changing, but meta defining in many ways. Think of like Coral Lurker when it came out, right? Or Kitty when it came out. However you want to view it, right? Those are kind of like the opposites: True Strike and then Dodge Phase and all that good stuff. But point being that I think they're going to be very powerful, and because of that, like I said, the negative side could lead to more high-level botting, which again, I don't necessarily mind, because if somebody wants to come in and buy a bunch of cards and max them out to the highest levels and then play and then, get them in, what's that called? Get them in ranked play and farm the rewards. That's totally cool. If they want to unlock them afterwards, they pay DEC to the burn value DEC at least as a minimum. So they're putting something into the ecosystem first before taking something out. Then I'm all for it. And then, for someone like myself who plays in like gold/diamond, my hope is just to have a max copy of all of them by the time, they go out of print. So, ultimately, I think these cards are going to be awesome simply because they have to be, right? A lot of people are going to complain and are already complaining about the fact that, like, well, we're losing our value, we're losing whatever. I disagree, and I understand. We're talking about different things in some senses, right? As I said, if I get a legendary card that's a Heartclaw, for example, or even a Jin O'Shaughnessy, like, it's $1.50, and I'm not trying to poo-poo like $1.50 and say that that doesn't have any value. Of course it does, but the point that I'm trying to make here is that if people wanted to, they could just go and buy a Jin O'Shaughnessy and max it out. But having that value and then letting that accrue over time, so that we get to a point. Now, keep in mind, this is probably the most important part. So that we get to a point that the cards are only unlockable after they are out of print. So what are we looking at then? Well, take a look at all the cards that are no longer in print, all these reward cards that are no longer in print. You got Fallen Spectre, Bela the Radiant. I mean, all of them, you can say whatever you want about how meta defining or meta changing they are. I think they all have some kind of value, and people use them regularly in their battles. But the point is that the value is now already significantly higher. So even if the bots come in, high-level bots, and try to farm them and then dump them on the market at a later time, I'm not too worried about that, because that should line up with an increased demand for them as well, right? Think about like when a new airdrop card first comes into the mix, like, people want it. So as soon as they become unlockable, everybody's going to be trying to get whatever BCX they need. So ultimately, the print rate is going to matter. And I don't know if the print rate is going to be as high as it was for the current reward cards, but again, we'll get all these details later. Main point with this is that I think these cards are going to be OP. I think they need to be OP, and it's going to be such an important and an integral part of the game being played, right? So from a gameplay standpoint, over the next 6 to 12 months, or whenever they end up going out of print. And then at that point, we don't worry too much about them dumping on the market or them being undervalued the way we'll look at like a Heartclaw, Jin O'Shaughnessy, or a Pelagor Bandit right now, because that's not going to happen. When they do hit the market, it will be because we've already determined their value within the game, and they'll be sold at the appropriate price because they are no longer available. So, again, I could be wrong. I could be looking it through rose-colored glasses, but that's just how I'm feeling about these Soulbound reward cards, and I really, 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 really want them sooner rather than later, and for us to shut off the faucets for all of the other cards, aka DEC is what I really look at them as at this point. So that's all I have for you guys in this video. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I will catch you all in the next one, and I will see you around the game. Take care.